Thank you, Clive. Hello and welcome to Look North. On the programme tonight, the UK's first hosepipe ban, which came into force here today, affecting 5 million Yorkshire Water customers, could last until December.
The demand on the network from customers is a lot higher than normal. This is the next step as part of our drought management process to help reduce that demand and effectively preserve our stocks.
We'll hear from those concerned about the volume of water being lost to leaks. Also tonight, as the tourist season hots up in York, we look at the effect it has on local communities and housing prices in the area. Preparing for their next away, the Keighley Cougars donating rugby kits to players in Ukraine. And it's the last day of the Great Yorkshire Show. We'll meet some special visitors.
And it's been the hottest day of the year so far, 32 Celsius, 90 Fahrenheit at Bramham Park in West Yorkshire, and it stays hot this weekend. Join me for the very latest forecast.
Good evening and welcome to Friday's Look North. Yorkshire Water have warned that the hosepipe ban that has come into force across the region today could last until December. It follows the driest spring in 132 years. Yorkshire is the first county to face the restrictions which are being imposed by Yorkshire Water. It comes after a drought was declared in the region last month by the Environment Agency. It affects 5 million Yorkshire Water customers, and today they said it could last until winter. And it means people will have to stop using their hosepipe for things like watering the garden, cleaning cars, filling paddling pools or cleaning the patio. And garden sprinklers are also banned. There are exemptions for blue badge holders and for watering food crops. And you can, of course, still do all those household jobs just with a bucket of water or watering can instead. If someone is found to be repeatedly flouting the ban, Yorkshire Water could impose a £1,000 fine. But this is not a police matter, so people should report incidents directly to Yorkshire Water. Our correspondent Spencer Stokes has more.
Looking more like a Mediterranean beach than a reservoir, one of the driest springs on record has seen water levels plummet. Yorkshire Water now face two challenges: keeping supplies flowing to customers, but also maintaining the health of rivers. So 1 million litres a day are being extracted here and pumped into streams above Oxenhope so that they don't run dry.
So we've got a setup here where we've got pumps in the reservoir, we've got about 1,000 metres of pipework that's transferring this water to another part of the valley, which is effectively supporting the ecology and the environmental elements of the region.
Here the pipes are out, but customers are being asked to put theirs away. The hosepipe ban, the first measure to prevent further restrictions. Do hosepipe bans actually make a difference?
Yeah, so if you think of a hosepipe running for an hour, that can use up to 1,000 litres of water. So if you think of people using the hosepipe for washing the car, cleaning the windows, the patios, filling a paddling pool, filling swimming pools, even watering the garden, we're asking people to pop the hosepipes away and not use it for that.
40 miles south of Bradford, water is in abundance on this Rotherham street. A leaky pipe, much to the annoyance of residents in the area who are paying higher bills.
We just want it resolved because they put a hosepipe ban on and it's just flowing out of there willy-nilly.
It's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
This burst has now been fixed, but across the region last year, Yorkshire Water lost 260 million litres of water every day due to leakage. That's the equivalent of 48 litres per person, or around half a bathful. That means 20% of drinking water seeps away before it reaches customers.
That is a big amount, and we accept that. Leakage is at its lowest that it's ever been for Yorkshire Water. We have made a 15% reduction over the last 5 years. That's above our target that we'd been set. That doesn't stop there though. We are going to continue that hard work, that effort to reduce leakage even further, and we've got a target of a reduction of 12% over the next 5 years.
This is what Yorkshire Water wants to avoid a repeat of: the 1995 drought that saw water being tankered from Kielder Reservoir in Northumberland and pumped into Scamondon at Huddersfield. But this water expert says customers need to do more. She has 3 water butts collecting rainwater for the garden, the dry spring, means they're all nearly empty.
I grew up in California and lived there for my first 15 years, and so from a very young age in California you're taught to save water. So things like not running the tap when you're brushing your teeth, only using what you really, really need. And I think it's something that we should look at trying to do here, because we're starting to transition into a sort of reality where we're going to be seeing water restrictions and water scarcity.
This weekend will bring Californian temperatures to Yorkshire, and any rain that does fall next week is likely to soak away before it reaches reservoirs. It could be months before hose pipes can be reeled out again. Spencer Stokes, BBC Look North.
Yes, incredible scenes there. Well, these prolonged dry spells and resulting drought aren't only affecting our domestic water supplies, but the environment too. Earlier, I was joined by Ben Hocking from the Environment Agency. I asked him how concerned they are about these historically low levels.
Well, even with the very heavy rain we've had in places across Yorkshire this weekend, river levels are still very low in 50% of locations across Yorkshire, particularly in the east. So it's really important that people understand that there is a shortage of water across the county.
Now, these drought conditions, they must be making it extra challenging now for the Environment Agency.
Certainly it's a lot busier for us because the dry weather started very early this year. We've been busy working to monitor the impacts on the environment, working with the water company and providing advice to people like farmers about how they can manage their water reserves through this year.
And of course the land is incredibly dry. If we do get that rain, is there a concern of flooding?
There's certainly a risk even when it's been very warm and dry, particularly in the summer when we have thunderstorms. Because the ground is much harder, the water can't filter in and absorb, so it's more likely to run off and there can be surface water flooding.
And what about wildlife? Because this has an impact on animals too, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's less water available for wildlife and the water that there is, particularly when it's hot like it is today, it can reduce the amount of oxygen that's available in the water and put things like fish under stress. So it can have a big impact on wildlife in the environment.
And are you confident, we've got this hosepipe ban in place, are you confident that that's going to be enough to turn things around?
Well, the hosepipe ban is there to help conserve the remaining water supplies that are available, particularly in reservoirs. So it's really important that people follow those restrictions, and that will help us to make the best use of the water that's available until we get that recharge, hopefully in the winter.
Yeah, Ben, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
You're watching Friday's Look North. Still to come on tonight's programme. We meet the puppies training to be guide dogs on the tourist trail in Derbyshire. Some more news from around the region now, and a gunman who injured a landlady when he opened fire on a crowd of people during a pub brawl has been jailed. The fight broke out in front of the Red Lion pub in Wath-upon-Dearne in June last year. Oliver Corney from Sheffield fired a gun 3 times, injuring landlady Bonita Page in the leg. He was given an extended sentence of 16 years and 9 months at Sheffield Crown Court. The judge said during sentencing that the victim's life had been changed forever.
The consequences for Mrs. Page, having been shot, are exceptionally serious. Her life has been sabotaged from what it was. This is life-changing and very detrimental to her.
North Yorkshire Police are asking anyone who witnessed a van crash at a train station yesterday to come forward. The van rolled down a hill and hit a signal box after crashing through the barriers at Knaresborough railway station. Trains were cancelled until midday when the van was recovered from the crash. Officers believe several people witnessed the incident and are appealing for them to get in touch. Firefighters are tackling a blaze on Marsden Moor. 9 fire crews are on the scene, supported by wildfire specialists to help bring the blaze under control. West Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Services are advising people to avoid the area. Now, a hot and sunny weekend ahead, and that usually means a bumper weekend for York's tourism trade. The industry, which is worth more than £1.5 billion a year and supports thousands of jobs, is putting the final touches to its school summer holiday plans. But as there are protests in European tourist hotspots about overcrowding and high house prices, how does York keep offering a warm welcome to those tourists while also looking after its locals? Our North Yorkshire political reporter Richard Edwards has the story.
The summer holidays are just around the corner, and York, which welcomes 9 million visitors every year, is getting ready for the crucial tourist season. Without those visitors, York's economy would take a huge hit, but the city is desperate to avoid scenes like these. These are the protests against so-called over-tourism that has sprung up across parts of Europe. Locals fed up with inflated house prices and pressure on their local services. For one York dad, it's already gone too far. He says he's seen huge pressures in his lifetime. He says that tourists and students have put on the city's housing stocks, and he's worried about the future generations.
My grandparents used to live down this street in the 70s and 80s. And now you look around, it's just totally unrecognisable. There's only 2 houses down here that are privately owned. All the rest are student lets. And the place has just been neglected. And it's all down to the student lets and holiday lets really have made it pretty much impossible for young people, the next generation like my children, to buy a house in the area. They work in the area, but they won't be able to buy a house in the area.
It's an issue one of York's Labour MPs has been campaigning on for some time.
It's really important. So much of our economy is built on tourism, and it's important for jobs in the city, but also for ensuring that we can show off our incredible city, but we've got to hold it in balance. I've been really concerned about the growth in short-term holiday lets, many people not recognising their communities, as many houses are then given over for people to come, often just at weekends. My bill is aimed at being able to regulate that environment, to put licensing in.
Well, a summit's been held in York to search for solutions, how to keep those tourist pounds coming while making sure those pocketing them keep local concerns in mind.
Lots of people love the city. They want to come and have a second home here. They know that they can make money out of, accommodation, Airbnbs. But unfortunately, that Airbnb and accommodation balance has just tippled over. So house prices have gone up, and we've seen a direct rise in homelessness because of that.
I mean, York is a really popular tourism destination. 9 million visitors come to York each year. But what that does, that supports 17,000 jobs and brings £1.7 billion to the local economy. I don't think we're going to see the same level of protests that we've seen over in Europe, but I think it's about that balance.
So as another summer season gets ready to go in York and more protests are planned in Europe, can that sweet spot be found? A strong tourist trade and healthy local communities thriving side by side. Richard Edwards, BBC Look North.
Well, in a joint statement, York St John and the University of York say students are future key workers and contribute hugely to the city. They say they will work with partners to lobby for better planning that takes student needs into account and reduces pressure on local housing. An Airbnb spokesperson says the root cause of housing challenges in York is the failure to build enough homes to meet demand. Airbnb also says it brings millions to the local economy and supports hundreds of jobs. And there will be more on this story and other big political stories affecting our region on Politics North this Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning on BBC One, or catch up on the BBC iPlayer. Now, if you've been out walking in the Peak District, you might have seen stone stacks, piles of rocks made by people. The Peak District National Park Authority says the structures are detrimental to the area, and now one walker is on a mission to highlight the damage they can do. Stuart Cox filmed himself kicking down the stacks, and it's been watched more than 1 million times on social media.
Look at this state. Destroyed a lot of them. People were building them and I came along and pushed them over. I don't think they were too happy at first, but when I explained why, I didn't realise that. I didn't know that. Oh, I won't do that again. Hi, my name's Stuart. I'm also known as a Peak District Viking. I obviously walk up on Mamtor and that area quite a lot, and these stone stacks have been getting more and more prevalent, and a lot of people don't realise the damage they're causing. So I went up one particular day for a walk with my phone and they were just everywhere. And today we're up here kicking cairns over. Nothing stopping stupid, is there? And I got a bit sort of irate, shall we say. Somebody has built one up there higher than they are. This is what the wall should look like, and as you can see there's all these crevices and nooks and crannies. That's where all the wildlife will live, anything from frogs, toads, insects. You can see where people have been removing rocks from it, but you know, that's what you're destroying there. That's a habitat that's been there hundreds of years, and it's being reduced to rubble basically. There are actually cairns up there for navigational purposes. So you start removing stones from those navigational cairns. Some poor person comes along later on in bad weather, then they're basically going to get lost. People remove them from the path, and then that leads to erosion. Erosion leads to flooding and all the other environmental impacts.
It's really important when people go to the countryside that they understand it's a living, working environment. These dry stone walls are beautiful, but they serve a practical purpose too. And when people take out stones for kudos on Instagram or TikTok, it does real damage to the farmers and the livestock that are kept there.
And we'll keep doing it until you learn, hopefully this video will have explained why. The majority of people have been quite supportive, saying, yeah, I hate them, we reduce them back to their natural state if we see them. But I had the other opposite reaction, which was, don't tell me what to do, I'll build them if I want. I even had a couple of threats, by private message, but I don't worry about those. I'm trying to reach out to the landowner to see what he wants to do, if he wants to do anything about it, whether it's remove them or try and rebuild the wall. Even if a handful of people have realised the error of their ways, then that made it all worthwhile. That's better.
Well, he's certainly got people talking, hasn't he? Now, the owners of a rugby league team in West Yorkshire are preparing for a trip to Ukraine next week to deliver new sports kit. The Keighley Cougars made contact with the manager of the Ukrainian national team after seeing an appeal on television. They've had new uniforms made and will be taking them to Poland on Monday by plane, and then a 15-hour-long bus journey into Kyiv. Beth Parsons has been to their stadium in Keighley today, where it's all being packed up and ready for the journey.
Just separate, like it's different models, sizes.
New rugby kit, produced and paid for by Keighley Cougars, bound for war-torn Ukraine. An idea brought to life after the club's owners saw that Ukrainian teams were struggling to play properly, with many players becoming soldiers and supply issues making it hard to get new kit into the country.
We saw that the Ukrainian national team was in need of help. They were struggling to fulfill fixtures because some of their players are in the front line, and they also needed help with kit, with balls. And me and my husband watched an episode where they were asking for help, and we decided to come and show a bit of solidarity and help them out producing the kit for all the teams.
It's important as well for the kids who play rugby league, so we've got kids ranging from the age of 8 all the way up to the main team. So it's important for the kids particularly to be out active and distracting their mind from living in a war-torn country. So it's important for the adults who are on the front line coming home and having a bit of respite and being able to, just release themselves a bit, but also for the children out there as well.
Fabulous, thank you.
I've probably been lucky and played at some of the highest levels. I know one thing when I first came back in after a pre-season, or when new kit came, it gets you excited, you feel a part of something, and for us to be able to supply the teams with kit like this, I'm sure that'll put smiles on their faces, especially with what's going on in the world. It gives them something to believe in, gives them something to look forward to, something to strive for, and just something to enjoy.
It's a flight to Poland and then a 15-hour bus journey to get the kit where it needs to be.
We took advice, look, how safe is it? And it's like, look, it is a risk, but people do it day in, day out. So we just decided, look, we'll get the bus. When we actually started this project of the kit, I just thought, oh yeah, we'll get it in, send it by DPD, and that's the end of it. I didn't quite think the logistics through, so I was like, look, we're just going to have to go, take it in our suitcases.
It's not the first time the Cougars have helped people in Ukraine. They've previously done fundraising, and all the profits from special edition kits on sale this month go towards helping those on the front line. Packed up and ready to go, Ryan and Cowie are set to deliver the new kit in person early next week. Beth Parsons, BBC Look North, Keighley.
Now it's the final day of this year's Great Yorkshire Show, and one of the highlights has been the appearance of some of Britain's rarest and oldest breed of heavy horse. There are less than 500 Suffolk punches left, and they're currently on the red endangered list. Well, today 12 of these gentle giants join the thousands soaking up the glorious summer weather in Harrogate. Phil Bodmer was soaking it all up too.
Under the baking hot sunshine, the showground simmered in the sweltering heat, keeping cool a priority for people and animals alike. If this week's show's been punching above its weight, day 4 was good for Suffolks in Yorkshire. At 17 hands high, Ivy is one of a dozen Suffolk punches making a rare appearance at this year's show.
It's been about 160 years since they've been shown in hand at the Yorkshire Show. They get shown in harness and they're in the ridden for the hoist qualifier. That's just been this morning actually. I think the top Suffolk got 7th place. But yeah, it's a really proud moment for us. We've worked really hard for the past couple of years to get them here.
Also competing is Wilma. At 2 years old, this is a new experience for her. Known as gentle giants, they're versatile workers that were used extensively for agriculture during the early 20th century.
Yeah, they're very rare. So they're, I think, rarer than a giant panda. There's only about 500 in existence. So to get 12 in Yorkshire today is quite a big pull, even though it sounds a small number. And hopefully we'll have more in the coming years as the show gets a bit more prolific with the society.
Preparing a punch to look her best takes a lot of hard work. But for Ivy and her groom Nina, the results speak for themselves as she steps out for the parade ring.
It's taken me a while to learn how to do it because I've only been doing this braiding for about 3 years. I used to do hunter plaits. This is totally different, so it's getting your fingers to work. It takes a little while.
Judges are looking for the horses to be true to their breed and their movement. They clearly liked what they saw. Ivy receiving a first in class and Wilma picking up a second.
But I can't stress enough how wonderful it is to see these Suffolk punches here at the Great Yorkshire Show. Thank you so much for bringing them. Thank you for breeding them.
All in all, a successful final day for these two Suffolks. And a successful week for the 140,000 visitors who enjoyed the Great Yorkshire Sunshine too. Phil Bodmer, BBC Look North, Harrogate.
Oh, some beautiful blue skies there. Now here's another story to make you say, ah. A group of puppies have been visiting Chatsworth House as part of their training to become guide dogs. Our reporter James Lewer went to meet them.
Taking a stroll round a famous Derbyshire landmark, these young pups have come to Chatsworth today as they continue their journeys to become guide dogs. Meet Uska and his puppy trainer, Bron.
Phew, I feel so much better now. Coming somewhere like here today is fantastic because they get to experience things that you wouldn't experience with a pet dog, but they might need that experience in their working life when they're older. So it's really good for your socialisation and getting to know people and see things.
This is the 8th puppy that Bron has now helped train. So, does she get attached?
You have them with the idea that you're going to let them go after a year. You know, that's the whole point of doing it. So you've got to have that mindset at the start. He's not my dog, you know, as much as I love him, you know, he's not my dog. He's just for the year, you know, and he's going to go on and do something better.
Bron raises Uska until he's just over a year old before moving to a guide dog centre to start formal training. And the charity are currently looking for more puppy raisers across Derbyshire.
You have to teach them everything, you know, but it is really good fun, but it is hard work and you do have to be consistent in your training. You get lots of support from guide dogs, so they have a whole huge training programme that you can follow, you know, and you have people come out and visit you and help you with things. So, but it is quite a big commitment.
Chatsworth House and its grounds are considered the ideal place to expose the pups to lots of stimulation as they enter the next phase of their development.
There's so many places that they might experience as they grow up,
and when they're going out with their guide dog owner, that the more sort of variety we can provide them as puppies, the more they'll be kind of confident with what they experience later on in life.
It is a sensory overload in some rooms in the house, so it's not just about touch, it's about the smells and the sights that they see, but they've been really well behaved. It's a great environment for us to learn because our aim is to welcome people here at Chatsworth.
And most importantly, after a hard day's work, it's time for a treat. James Lewis, BBC Look North at Chatsworth.
Oh, aren't they gorgeous? Now on to the weather prospects. Paul is here in a fabulous suit, if I may say so.
It looks as though we're about to go to a wedding, doesn't it, Amanda?
Man and woman at CNA.
That's right, yes, that's right. 32.3 degrees today, can you believe it?
Yeah, I can believe it.
Hottest day of the year so far in Yorkshire. When the official stats come out, we might have nudged 33, so we're around about 90 Fahrenheit this afternoon. More heat to come this weekend. A good morning for hot air balloonists. That was about 5:30 this morning. Flat, calm and clear, but there was a little bit of mist first thing if you're up fairly early in the morning. Skipton, that was Skipton this morning at about that time. It rapidly went, but it gives us a clue because there could well be some mist and patchy low cloud first thing in the morning. Otherwise, it looks a fantastic weekend. Addresses on your screen for sending pictures in. So tomorrow does look another sunny and hot day, but you might wake up to some low cloud and mist. Don't panic, it will soon clear, and the coast is prone to a little bit of sea mistiness at times tomorrow, but generally speaking it does look like a fabulous weekend if you like the heat, of course. Just a sign of something that's going to change. This cold front pushes through sometime early next week. It will introduce a thunderstorm risk, and eventually fresher air is on the way. There's the satellite picture, not a cloud in the sky. Temperatures at the moment holding up really well, still 29 degrees across much of Yorkshire. That's quite remarkable. So it's a lovely warm sunny evening. There's that low cloud and mist I mentioned just pushing a little further inland overnight. We'll see lowest temperatures coming in at around about 11 or 12 degrees. So high water times tomorrow: Scarborough 5:52, Bridlington 9 minutes past 6. Any low cloud and mist inland rapidly dispersing. There's that hint of some sea mistiness around the coast. Not a great deal, but it might be there at times. Inland, though, it does look sunny and hot. Now, remember, we've had 32, 33 today. Just a little down on that, 29 or 30 degrees. A bit more in the way of a breeze towards the coast. Very pleasant, 21 in Scarborough. A similar forecast on Sunday, but changes afoot early next week, turning cooler with a risk of thunderstorms. That's the forecast.
Incredible. We've had to get off to toast the bride and groom.
I know, it's your round as well.
But we will be back with the late news and weather. I hope you can join us then. Have a lovely evening and a great weekend. Goodbye.